Ollama, Kimi K3, and DeepSeek V4 are the three names people keep throwing into the same best free AI argument. So I pulled every cost, coding, speed, context, and deployment number I could source and ran them head to head. The real surprise isn't which one is cheapest, it's that Kimi K3's headline coding score doesn't survive an independent test, and it's also the slowest model in this entire comparison. Ollama is free. Not free tier, free, actually free, because you're running the model on your own hardware, and there's no per token bill at all. That's the ceiling nothing else in this test can beat. But once you leave local hardware and start paying an API, the gap between Kimi K3 and DeepSeek V4 is enormous. According to official pricing, Kimi K3 charges $3 per million input tokens and $15 per million output tokens. DeepSeek V4 Pro charges 0.435 input and 0.87 output. DeepSeek V4 Flash drops that even further, to 0.14 input and 0.28 output. Do the math on output alone, and Kimi K3 is roughly 17 times the price of DeepSeek V4 Flash for the same million tokens. Cached input tells the same story. Kimi K3 drops to 0.30 per million on a cache hit, which sounds great until you see DeepSeek V4 Pro's cached rate, $0.0036 per million. So on pure API economics, DeepSeek V4 wins by a mile. But since nothing beats zero, Ollama takes this dimension outright, as long as you've already got the hardware to run it. That's not a typo, that's a 97% discount stacked on top of a price that was already a fraction of Kimi's. My name is Brian, and I spend most of my week digging through AI products, benchmarks, APIs, and pricing pages to figure out where these tools actually differ. This is where the marketing gets allowed. Kimi K3's own materials put it at 88.3% on Terminal Bench 2.1, and that number gets repeated everywhere. But that's a vendor-reported figure, and it's disputed. DeepSeek V4 Pro posts 87.9% on the same test, and that number is from the official GA release, not a vendor claim being cited without a check. On DeepSWE, Kimi K3 claims 67.5%. Vendor reported again against DeepSeek V4 Pro's 62.7% from the same GA source. One of the biggest problems I run into when using AI agents is turning their output into YouTube content I can actually use to market my product. That's why this video is sponsored by Subscriber, a tool that helps business owners connect their AI agents to YouTube and market their products without spending 10 hours every week creating content. You can connect Claude or ChatGPT directly to Subscriber. It then analyzes your business, website, and YouTube channel to help you create SEO-optimized video ideas, scripts, thumbnails, and even complete videos that actually match your brand. What I like most is that every week, Subscriber gives me a list of high-potential video ideas I can immediately execute, and it can even help edit videos for me, with or without my face, including videos like the one you're watching right now. It's easy to get started, and you can try Subscriber for free using the link in the description below. Now back to the video. Kimi's ahead on paper, but the gap is smaller than the headline suggests once you're comparing an unverified number to a confirmed one. On SWE Bench Verified, community reported numbers put Kimi K3 at 93.4% and DeepSeek V4 Pro at roughly 91.2%. That's genuinely close, within 2 points, and both are strong here. I'm giving it the win for this test, but I want to flag something before you get too excited about that 88.3%, because it's the same number this entire video keeps coming back to. So Kimi K3 does lead on the raw scoreboard across these three benchmarks. This is the test that's actually driving people to cancel their subscriptions, and the numbers explain exactly why. Kimi K3 runs at roughly 40.8 tokens per second, with a time to first token around 2.8 to 3.0 seconds, community reported. DeepSeek V4 Pro runs at 89.7 tokens per second, more than double Kimi K3's throw. That's the slowest number on this entire scoreboard. Stick with me because the last 4 tests are where this decision actually flips. Next up is context and output limits, the test that quietly decides whether the rest of this comparison even matters. On context and output limits, Kimi K3 pulled clearly ahead once the workload got real. There is a real caveat on context and output limits worth naming before we score it. So Kimi K3 takes context and output limits, and the scoreboard shifts its way. Next up is deployment and modality, the test that quietly decides whether the rest of this comparison even matters. On deployment and modality, Ollama pulled clearly ahead once the workload got real. So Ollama takes deployment and modality, and the scoreboard shifts its way. Here is where Ollama clearly pulls ahead of the field. Now, here is where Kimi K3 clearly pulls ahead of the field. Here is where DeepSeek V4 clearly pulls ahead of the field. Pick the one whose single biggest strength matches the job in front of you today. One thing the docs never spell out will quietly cost you if you miss it. If this helped, the next breakdown on the channel goes even deeper.